Welcome to US Daily News Channel. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Eastern Europe and the Baltic states have brought the measures to the highest levels. The United States and NATO had made large shipments to Eastern Europe and the Baltic. The shipment of warplanes, tanks and thousands of troops to Eastern Europe by NATO countries, especially the USA and UK, disturbs Russia. More than 230,000 NATO troops are stationed on the border of Ukraine, Belarus and Russia. Especially the air and sea patrols close to the Russian borders worry Russia a lot. Just today, sources affiliated with the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation mentioned that 2 F-35 aircraft were flying close to the Russian border, but the Russian Air Force did not react. Because Russia got a big blow from Ukraine and its response to NATO moves in Eastern Europe and the Baltics seems to be lagging. Just last week, the UK Royal Navy and their joint forces began patrolling the Baltic Sea, and the US and Poland held joint exercises. However, Russia could not show any reaction. If you remember, a few months ago, wherever NATO air and naval forces were, Russian planes, submarines and warships were appearing right next to it. There was a similar case today and Russia could not react. Today, a pair of UK Royal Air Force F-35 fighter jets making surprise flights near the borders of Russia's Murmansk region has worried Russia. 2 RAF F-35 fighters, accompanied by a tanker aircraft, flew to an area north of Tromsø, Norway, according to data from public tracking sources that allow tracking of the aircraft. At this time, the purpose of the Royal Air Force's visit to the northern part of Norway is unknown. The British fighters did not make any provocations. Despite this, even though Russian sources expressed their concerns, the Russian Air Force did not take any action. Experts find this situation surprising, but they do not find it strange either. It seems that Russia received a much heavier blow than expected in Ukraine and last week the NATO exercises in the Baltic Sea, the NATO activity in Norway and Sweden, and the cold response exercise, the Russians were indifferent and unresponsive. Frankly, this can be described as the most passive state of the Russian army in recent years. It is reported that Russia lost around 150 warplanes in Ukraine. Of course, it was an unexpected situation for Russia that advanced aircraft in variations such as the Su-24 Su-30, Su-35 and MiG-29 succumbed to manpads. So is the Russian Air Force really incapable of complex air operations? One of the greatest surprises from the initial phase of the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been the inability of the Russian Aerospace Forces, VKS, fighter and fighter-bomber fleets to establish air superiority, or to deploy significant combat power in support of the underperforming Russian ground forces. On the first day of the invasion, an anticipated series of large-scale Russian air operations in the aftermath of initial cruise and ballistic missile strikes did not materialize. An initial analysis of the possible reasons for this identified potential Russian difficulties with deconfliction between ground-based surface-to-air missile (SAM) batteries, a lack of precision-guided munitions and limited numbers of pilots with the requisite expertise to conduct precise strikes in support of initial ground operations due to low average VKS flying hours. One potential argument is that the VKS fighter fleets are being held in reserve, potentially as a deterrent against direct intervention by NATO forces. This is unlikely to be the case. If the VKS is capable of large-scale combat operations to rapidly establish air superiority over Ukraine, by not doing so, it is, in fact, weakening its potential deterrent value against NATO forces rather than preserving it. The failure of the much-feared Russian army to rapidly overwhelm the much smaller and poorly positioned Ukrainian forces, and its heavy losses of modern vehicles and personnel, have already seriously damaged international perceptions of Russia's conventional military power. From a NATO deterrence standpoint, the Russian General Staff and the Kremlin have every incentive to employ their airpower to maximum effect to re-establish some of this lost credibility. When we make a comparison, the capabilities of the F-35 stealth fighters seem to be far superior to Russia's series up to the MiG-29 and Su-35, even the Su-57s, if we take an example from Ukraine. One of the most advanced models of the F-35 series at the moment is the Royal Air Force F-35B, which appears in Norway today. The Lockheed Martin F-35B Lightning II is a single-seat, single-engine, all-weather, multi-purpose fighter aircraft. It is intended to perform both air superiority and offensive missions while providing electronic warfare and intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. It will be operated jointly by the RAF and the Royal Navy and will be able to operate from the Royal Navy's Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers with its short takeoff and vertical landing capability. A total of 138 Lightnings were originally planned, but the 2021 Defense Command document has changed it to a commitment to expand the fleet beyond the current order of 48. By October 2021, 24 F-35Bs had been delivered to the RAF. So, can Russia's Su-57 stealth fighter jets even challenge the F-35s? According to World Air Force Report, 2022, Russia has the third largest combat aircraft fleet size in the world with 1,571 planes behind the US 2,740 planes and China 1,571. The report said the Russian Air Force has 273 Su-24, 192 Su-25, 350 Su-27, 30 35ths and 125 Su-34. The Russian fighters accounted for 7% of the global combat aircraft fleet, with the US topping the charts with 15% of the total. As of December 2021, 14,713 combat planes were in operational service in military aircraft fleets across the world, the report said. Russian news agencies have said over 70 Su-57 fifth-generation fighter jets will be delivered to Russian troops by 2027. The Sukhoi Su-57 is a fifth-generation fighter that can destroy air, ground and naval targets. So why could the F-35 is clearly superior to Russia's Su-57? The Su-57 can't keep up when it comes to stealth configuration, hypersonics, and manned-unmanned teaming. There are a few reasons to think that the Russian Sukhoi Su-57 stealth fighter could be falling behind the US Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, F-22 Raptor, and whatever innovations might be being built into the emerging sixth-generation aircraft. Obviously, many details about the Su-57 are not available, perhaps apart from what gets mentioned in the Russian press. However, a few recent articles in Russian-backed newspapers indicate the country may be behind the United States when it comes to manned-unmanned teaming or loyal wingman capability when it comes to the F-35. The means operational effectiveness and tactical ability are exponentially improved because drone video and data feeds do not first need to go through a ground control station before reaching the aircraft. This technology, which has now already been demonstrated by the Air Force through programs such as the Valkyrie drone, which has flown with an F-35, was being worked on by Air Force scientists nearly 10 years ago. Secondly, while many attributes of stealth are not visible to the eye per se, especially when it comes to internally buried engines, thermal management, or radar-absorbent coating materials, the Su-57 simply does not look as stealthy as an F-35. It looks like the Su-57 has an internal weapons bay, and appears to have an F-22-like dual-engine configuration. It looks a little less rounded, blended, and smoothed over when compared to the F-35. That being said, the shape of the Su-57 is indeed stealthy, as it does appear to blend wing and body and operate with horizontal structures. The Su-57 is listed as being able to reach Mach 2 speeds. That's not as fast as a US 5th-generation F-22, which is reported to be able to reach Mach 2.25. This is not even considering the possible speed of the emerging 6th-generation aircraft. Despite a comparison of each aircraft's apparent stealth properties, much of the F-35's superiority resides in its mission systems, long-range, high-resolution sensors and targeting, computing, weapons range, and guidance systems. These variables, particularly when it comes to the F-35's ability to outrange enemy targeting sensors and use sensor fusion to rapidly integrate and analyze otherwise disparate pools of incoming data, are likely to be the factors that cause the F-35 to be superior in capability and combat performance. It is not at all clear that the Su-57 will operate with an AI-enabled computing system anywhere comparable to the F-35 or be able to fire weapons with paradigm-changing levels of guidance technology such as the AIM-9X's off-boresight targeting. Little is known when it comes to the F-35's electronic warfare suite. However, it is known to be extremely advanced. This could be quite impactful, as it could detect and jam enemy weapons guidance systems or intercept communications. How far along is the Su-57 when it comes to course correction air-launched weapons? Weapons guidance systems and resistance to jamming? While Russia did demonstrate advanced EU tactics during its attacks on Ukraine, the Su-57 simply may not be able to compete. On the weaponry front, however, the Russian papers have reported that the Su-57 has carrying prototype hypersonic air-to-ground missiles. as there is no indication of how far along or functional this capability may be, and the U.S. Air Force is making rapid progress with its Air-Launched Rapid Response Weapon or ARRW hypersonic weapon. In short, the United States may already be in front when it comes to F-35 weaponry and hypersonics, or on track to close the gap quickly. One reason this is likely because the F-35 is engineered to accommodate paradigm-changing new weapons technologies through its ability to perform software upgrades. Overall, while much may not be known, it seems extremely unlikely that a Su-57 could in any way truly rival an F-35.